To South Sudan now, and the humanitarian situation in the country is worsening. The United Nations says close to 2 million people have fled into neighboring countries. That's putting an incredible strain on countries like Uganda, who are struggling to cope with the influx. It's believed nearly 3,000 South Sudanese arrive in neighboring countries every day. The crisis is a combination of ongoing violence in South Sudan and a deepening hunger crisis. Famine has been declared in the country's unity state. The UN is warning that it's becoming the world's fastest growing refugee crisis. The UN is also calling for more funding to help ease the suffering. Our correspondent Liling Tan has more on that.
$1.4 billion for 1.8 million refugees spread over 6 countries for the rest of the year. That's what the UN Refugee Agency UNHCR and the UN World Food Programme, as well as 57 partnering aid agencies, are asking of the world. The UN says continued fighting in South Sudan and the deteriorating humanitarian situation brought on by drought and famine have made the world's youngest nation the world's fastest growing refugee crisis. And aid agencies are struggling to provide food, water, shelter and health services.
We're facing the worst humanitarian crisis since World War II. In today's environment, where we've got more fluid wealth than any time period in the history of the world, and to be facing the famines and the crises that are primarily man-made is inexcusable and unacceptable.
The 1.8 million refugees, of which more than half are children, have fled to Uganda, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and the Central African Republic. The UN says the previous target of $1.2 billion had only been 14% funded, and the shortage has put immense pressure on host countries and communities that are already among the world's poorest. For example, the lack of funding has resulted in cutbacks on food rations in Uganda, which hosts the largest number of South Sudanese refugees, nearly 900,000.
In total, WFP's operations needs almost $900 million to fund operations in 2017. WFP urgently requires $243 million to meet immediate food needs. The focus of WFP at the moment is to ensure that enough resources can be generated immediately to provide support to the most acute food needs of 2.5 million people.
The High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, told a donor conference on Monday that helping refugees isn't just giving emergency aid, but also supporting the host countries and communities that shelter them. The World Food Programme says if it can get the funding it needs, it can stave off the danger of famine and save lives. Liling Tan, CGTN, New York.